Hey, we've got a special guest on the show. Everyone, you're watching Life at the Apex podcast. We've got one of the pioneers of UK mixed martial arts. I don't think this guy gets enough recognition, and he probably does, but we need to give him some more recognition. Brad Pickett, man, he's one of the main man of UK MMA. I remember, 10 plus years ago playing him on a UFC game when, MMA weren't that popular, and like Brad was just in a man in the pocket, throwing hands, man. They gave you your good stats, Brad. I know you're a good boxer, so
Really?
they definitely
Nice.
attributed your strengths in the game for sure. But on a more of a personal note, thanks for joining. Appreciate it, man. And I just wanted to kind of fire some questions at you, dig deep in about your lifestyle, your career, and etc. etc. So before we kind of get into the crux of things, I wanted to ask you a few questions, basic questions, obviously. If you had to choose one martial arts or the other, and make it a bit spicy for the viewers. So let's say hypothetically, you've got someone that's come to see you. I know you're training out of you're the head coach and owner of GB Top Team. So they come to you and say, Brad, I've got a YouTube Misfits MMA type boxing martial arts event happening. I've got 3 months to train. I've got no background, and if you had to provide them with one martial arts to win the fight, what would that be? And they're not athletic either, so that you can't rely on their, athletic prowess. They're literally a desk job person, with carrying a bit of, body fat, 25%.
Well, I'll probably say one of the main things would be conditioning, because technique goes out the window in any fight when you first fight. So it's normally the person that has a better gas tank that wins. So conditioning, but then you want to think skill-wise, I don't know. Wrestling, maybe. Because wrestling, because if you can wrestle, it's the same as professional fighting. I say, if you have the better wrestling than your opponent, you can dictate where the fight takes place. So if I was fighting a very good striker, if I had better wrestling than him, I'd better take him down. If I'm fighting a very good grappler, and I think he had better ground than me, I will keep it on the feet. So if you can control the wrestling aspect, you can dictate where the place goes. So if it's an MMA fight, I'll probably say learn how to wrestle.
Wrestling wins. Well, to be honest, I mean, I was watching your fights just as a recap as well, and that's a bit of a segue into your fight with Demetrius Johnson, and I believe you handed him his first loss. He had an illustrious career and probably still have a decent career now. But in round 1, he was chopping some inside leg kicks I think it was your lead leg. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then you timed the shot. He was throwing some shots. You went underneath, straight on a blast double. And
for me, it's like he was very quick. It's like the timing beats speed. Like if I time him very well coming in, I usually speed against him. It doesn't matter how fast you are. So like I had very good timing on my doubles, and I timed him very well. And I took him down every round multiple times quite easily.
Yeah, I think you scored around 10 takedowns in the whole fight, and I think the most he's been taken down, around 25 plus in his whole career, but in one fight.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in his whole career,
it says all these takedowns in his whole career, he's been taken down 25 times, but 10 of them are mine.
Yeah, and I think that stat was probably a few years old, but probably it's still relative. So maybe he's been taken down 30 times or 35, but 10 of yours is at least a third of his whole career.
Okay.
Right. So that was massive.
Well, he obviously he learned a lot from it. So obviously he has very good wrestling, but how I always explain this, wrestling for MMA is different to wrestling. So if me and him had a straight wrestling match, he'll beat me. Comfortable saying that. But in an MMA fight where I'm throwing punches and you're worried about getting hit and your hands go up here, you can't defend your legs. So wrestling for MMA is completely different.
Because I see you working your lead hand a lot in that fight, Brad. So like the jab and then the hook. And I know you'd like to throw the left hook quite a bit. That's a nice shot, man.
I like to throw overhands and hooks. That's all I do. Yeah,
it's beautiful, man. Because you know what I think. So how do you chain them together, the left hook and the overhand? So like you use your left hand for your range, and then you throw the overhand. Like how do you normally set it up?
I use my lead hand like a jab. I never used to use my jab as in like an offensive weapon. I used to use my jab as more of my range finder. I'll jab my way into range so I can throw my overhand right. And when when you throw in punch, any punch you throw should set up your next punch. So if I throw overhand, this shoulder goes back, then I can come back with a hook. So that's why, like, your body dictates
like
your fight. Yeah, so that's how you throw powerfully. You know, so if I throw a good right hand, like this shoulder goes forward, this shoulder goes back, then this one goes back. So it kind of helps you
transfer the momentum kind of thing.
Good technique, yes, about having good technique.
Nah, definitely. And I've got a funny one for you as well, Brad. So as I was watching that fight, I saw you pull up the shorts a couple times, so I was just questioning to you, do you reckon Dustin Poirier's got that from you? Are you an inspiration?
I don't know. I've been doing that for years. For me, I don't know. Maybe from when my main sport growing up was football, and playing football as a youngster, and we had really short shorts. And for me, shorts should be around your thighs.
Yeah.
Anything lower than that, it doesn't feel like shorts. I used to always like to pull my shorts up. Like I used to Mike Tyson used to wear real short black shorts. And yeah, I like that kind of look. I also feel well.
I don't like. It feels functional. It just feels like ready to go, not without getting in.
Yeah, I always do it. I think actually, where you say, I think I'm posting it picture on Instagram today. If I remember right, I think I was doing it in that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I think you've set the presidency for
I always like
fighters, new fighters.
I always have my shorts quite pulled up. And also I've got nice legs, so you got to show.
But obviously, right? Brad, then you've clearly been inspiring the generations after you, man.
Yeah.
Dustin Poirier's come out after you, and he's doing amazing. So
I've trained with him for a long time. He's a guy, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So what made you get into mixed martial arts then? What was kind of the transition?
Well, for me, my main sports growing up was always football and cricket.
Yeah.
I took up boxing when I was 19 to 21, just to keep fit, really. And it's a good life skill to have, but it's good fitness. I'm ruptured my ACL in my right leg playing football.
Okay.
Where I was playing at not a bad level of football. I came down a few levels and just played with my mates more, kind of thing. Try to get back into boxing, found it a little bit boring, kind of thing. As an amateur boxer, I was 10-1, so I wasn't bad. But for me, it wasn't natural. I didn't feel like I want to go around punching people. I was just a very competitive person, and I want to be. Yeah, I kind of think I was mentally tough. So yeah, I was quite like, when they asked me if I wanted to fight, I was like, in my head, I was going, no way. But then I went, yeah, but I don't want to show any sort of fear, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then I had like 10-1 as a boxer. But football was my main thing. So when I watched my knee, I just went back to playing football at the lower level. And then I tried to get back into boxing when I was about 25. Found it a little bit boring and the same thing. And then obviously, whereas the coaches there were looking after the more the young kids than people like me, because as you would. And then someone said to me, I want you to try mixed martial arts. And I'm like, all right, I'll give that a go.
How old were you when you first kind of
26.
Okay, so not too young then, pretty much.
No,
kind of
26.
Heading into your prime almost. Well, not prime, but just quite.
Yeah, started at 26. Yeah.
Okay, so that's for a lot of people out there then.
Yeah, age is the number. I always say that. It's what you do with it. Then some people are 26 will train hard and train more than someone who's 22 and already trained for 4 years, because they just train once a day or once a week, or like, is what you get out, what you put in. Don't get me wrong, some athleticism is involved. Like I say, I was a very good athlete growing up. I was good at most sports. Wasn't the best, but I was good at sports. So me, that kind of helps out in MMA. I wasn't the best striker. I wasn't the best wrestler. I wasn't the best grappler. But I was good at MMA and putting all these things together. So you much better be a jack of all trades than a master of none.
So in terms of putting them all together, because that's really interesting, because I think everyone has like a strong skill set, like a strong Thai box, and they're coming to MMA and then they strike. But I think I see a lot of people struggle with kind of, like you're saying, having that synergistic effect in having it as a mixed martial arts rather than like segmenting each art in the fight. You can kind of sometimes see fighters, they'll just box and then they'll pause and then wait for the shot. Do you know what I mean? Rather than just flowing.
That's the thing. That's where still, I mean, it's not as bad nowadays, but back in the olden day, obviously you came into the sport with a background. You done judo, you done jujitsu, you done boxing, you done something, and then you try everything else out. But now, because it's been around for quite a long time, there's people just going into MMA and straight MMA. But then also it does depend where you train, because sometimes you go to that jujitsu gym, you go to that boxing gym, you go to this wrestling gym, and you go to different gyms. You're not going to an MMA gym. So for me, MMA is its own sport in its own right. A lot of the techniques from boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, judo do translate, but it's so much different doing it in a MMA environment. So like, yeah, so for me, if you want to do MMA, try and find an MMA gym that does MMA.
Now that's really interesting, because in regards to some of your athletes, because I know you're coaching quite a few athletes, Brad. So in terms of the next layer up, so you've got a newcomer come off the street and he's just learning, you know, the basics MMA, like you're saying, probably like timing or just putting them all together rather than one single discipline. As athletes get more, you know, up the chain and they're competing at a higher level, like what do you mainly work on with your athletes? Obviously, they know how to strike, they know how to box, etc. In terms of putting them together, do you mainly work angles, feints, setup? Like, what does that look like?
There's still work basics, because you have to start the basics. For me, at the highest level, again, people know arm bars, people know the moves, but people will separate from one to the other is how they set things up, little tricks, little plays. I do this, they do that, I do this. So it's like those sort of things that only comes with experience, you know, and good coaching for people of experience as well. Obviously, I think like strength conditioning does play a part at the highest level, but it's not important. For me, I do dislike people now who are amateurs and they go concentrate so much on strength conditioning, where I'm like, well, you need to go learn how to wrestle. You need to go learn how to do grappling. You need to learn technical stuff rather than strength conditioning. For me, strength conditioning is what people will do with at the top, and to give them a little bit of edge. Where people who are new, they need to get the strength conditioning from training and learn technique.
So you're saying, like, ideally the S&C should be incorporated on a mat, maybe like some, you know, hard sparring, or how would you normally incorporate the stress, like the stress on the body?
For me, it's like, if I gas in sparring, I'll get gas in a fight, right? It's a different thing. So I could run up a hill as much as I can, or lift loads of weights. It's not that doesn't replicate a fight as much as sparring replicates a fight. So for me, sparring is my best indication of conditioning. So like, I don't want to gas in sparring, you know. So yeah, that's what I say. So like, for me, I don't get me wrong, I think strength and conditioning is very important when you're at the highest level. It will give you that little 3% here, 5% there of stuff, right? But it does not surpass technique.
Now that's really interesting. And how do you normally manage kind of like injury with your athletes and fatigue? You know, if your athlete's training for a camp or something, how do you kind of get them to switch off or dial up or dial down based on, you know, their mat time and other stresses that they've got in their life?
Well, most of the time I tell them stop being a pussy. That's probably most of the time I say this. Because for me, don't get me wrong, there is such a thing called overtraining. I've never experienced it, and I trained really hard my whole career, right? So now people come to me, they start training for a week in their fight camp. They go, and in a few days off, I think I'm overtraining. I mean, you're not overtraining, you're actually just training. That's where you get tired. So like, yeah, this in this day and age, a lot of people, you know, nothing substitutes hard work, you know, and mental fortitude. If you know, you train hard and you prepare hard, you have the right sort of mindset. If you're a bit flaky in your training and hit and miss, don't get me wrong, I had days off, but very rarely, you know, like, because it's like, other analogy I explain, you go to Thailand, right? If you start ticking a tree, how would your shin feel?
Finished.
Yeah, right. Of course it would. So would mine. So don't do it. But these guys who do it all the time and they condition their shins, it's tough, right? But they can do it because they condition themselves. Like for me, like even when I was in the UFC and training, I would get a little more banged and bruised in the beginning of a fight camp. But I trained through it. And then by the end of my fight camp, I'm not bruised anymore. you just kind of your body adapts and gets stronger on top of it. Where if you haven't trained for a long time, you get hit and stuff, your bruises will show.
Yeah.
But towards the end of my camp, I could get hit and hard, I just don't bruise. So it's like you just got.
It's interesting, you know, like just
tell people you got.
Mm.
You got to take people because it's also mental. Doing that for me, fighting is 90% mental. 10% physical. If you don't have the right mindset, you will never get in there in the first place. You have the right mindset. You have the right mindset to apply yourself to training. You know, it's not easy. I used to say to all my athletes in my gym, I said, like, it's not my job to get you out of your bed into the gym. You get yourself out of your bed in the gym, I can make you better fight and push you. It's not my job to make you get out of bed. That's on you. You need to be self-motivated enough to get yourself out of bed and make yourself into training. You know.
So what techniques? I was going to say,
I'm on my guys. I'm on my guys all the time. So if you look here to the right here, I have all these names here, right? This is all my team and stuff. People here are fighting, Cage Warriors, London, Cage Warriors, UFC, Fight Star, PFL, Bellator, Invicta. Come on, I have all these here, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're on my board and you have a fight coming up and you're not in, where are you today? What are you doing? Mm-hmm. Oh no, I feel a bit. No, you know what I mean? Like, so like, but if you're not got a fight and you're this other side, I'm not on you that much. I'll still be on you. Like, where you been? What are you doing? No, but it's like yeah. I always say to people, you gotta have to be self-motivated enough. I will help you with your hype train, put fuel on your fire to burn, but I'm not going to ignite your fire for you. You need to be self-motivated enough. It is a tough sport. Do you know what? Solid sport is a tough life. Life is hard, right? Well, I've got a different view of this. Life is too easy, really, right? Where if you decided to do nothing with your life, you get a house from the government. Yeah. You get food from the government. You will survive and live. You won't have the most best life in the world, but you live, right?
Yeah.
So that's by doing nothing. So if you decide to do something and push yourself and try things, you will surpass a lot of people already just by trying harder. So that's what I mean. For me, it's just about having the right sort of work ethic and realize you need to work for things in life. And training, if you want to be good in a fight, you need to train hard, you know, because you always have these demons in your head. Oh, coming to your fight, you always gonna have good cop, bad cop, I call it, right? Mm-hmm. Bad cop saying, oh man, you're shit. You're not good enough. You haven't trained hard enough. And then good cop going, I did train. Done really well. But you have the good cop going, oh yeah, but you did take that week off work and you didn't really train that hard that week. Then the bad cop takes over. So if you have a bad cop and you have the good cop can kind of deflect all what bad cop's saying, you leave yourself mentally in the right place.
Because I think you need to offset it. So like when I speak to people, just in life, like not even just fighting in general, like we've all got demons or we've always got things to kind of demotivate us. And I'm saying if you can outweigh the negative thoughts with positive thoughts in terms of the ratio. So let's say you've got one negative thought, you need to replace them with 3 positive thoughts. Simple maths.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you feel like I feel like shit today, then you need to have 5 positive thoughts to overweigh that shit thought straight away.
No, of course, yeah. I mean, you're always gonna have bad things. You're always gonna get that, but you just gotta try and deflect, have good things. And don't get me wrong, I always say this as well. Like, you have your goal, right? Your goal here, right? Your goal's over here, right? And you have good decision, bad decision, right? You say my diet. I have a bad decision. I eat some shit food. Okay, cool, shit. But now I have a good decision. I do some training, or I do some running, or do this. If I do more good decisions than bad decisions, I'm moving in the right direction. Mm-hmm. I mean, so I have to make sure I make more good choices in my life to help me. So I always say this: if I say my food there, that's steak. Is that going to help go towards my goal or away from my goal? No, steak is good because it's a protein. I'll cook that, I'd eat that, would be nice. If it was like KFC, I'd be like, is that a good choice or a bad choice? Technically, that's a bad choice. Can I still eat? Yes. But the more bad choices I make, That'll make it a lot harder for me.
Okay, so on that point, because I know a lot of people probably experience this. So they have a KFC, let's say, for example, they feel like shit after because they know they shouldn't be eating it. And then
Yeah,
there's a negative spiral from there, like, fuck it, excuse my French. You know, I've already had KFC. I may as well write off the day with,
yeah,
you
exactly
know,
that. So when you eat, when I like say I went and trained,
yeah,
after training I want to eat well.
yeah,
But if you don't train, you want to sit on the couch and eat shit. So
yeah.
when you do bad things, you double down, and when you do good things,
Mm,
you double up. So like that's the way you're trying to do more good things. If you train really hard and do really well, last thing you want to do is go eat a KFC because you're like, I don't undo that good work I did.
yeah.
But once you're doing bad stuff, you're like, well, like you said, oh fuck it, let's write the day up. I start tomorrow. My diet starts tomorrow.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like on that, so what advice would you give people who have that double down mentality, like, F it, I've messed up today, I don't care, I'm going all out. How do you bring it back and be like, nah, mate, come on, listen, it's okay, let's bring it back? Like, what really drives that shift of behavior in that
It's
moment?
hard, man.
It's
It's
tough,
hard.
ain't it?
It's hard. It's like for me, you got to be accountable of your own decisions, you know,
Mm.
and understand consequences. There's consequences to everything you do, you know. So yeah, it
It's that
is a
why,
tricky
isn't
one.
it?
It's a tricky one, but that's what I mean. You always got to have the why. Why do you want to train?
Mm.
Why? If your why is strong enough,
Mm.
you know, you should hopefully. You always got to be motivated in what you do.
Yeah.
Right? Some people are motivated by money, fame, family, whatever. So,
Yeah.
but you have to be motivated to train. If you're not motivated, I was motivated by competition. I
Mm.
wanted to fight the best and be the best.
You know
But
what?
they'll say that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry to Brad on that one. I'm glad you mentioned that because I was thinking, you know what? Brad's not competing at the moment. He's in pretty good shape still. What is your why that keeps you healthy and not like overweight? Because you see some fighters, they're not competing and then they're just throwing the towel and then they get really big. How do you stay
Um,
relatively fit
I don't know.
ish? You
I'm
know,
still, I'm, I'm nowhere near as in shape as I used to be.
but
But
still,
just
you're not obese. You know, you're like,
just my competitive edge where I still want to jump on the mats and oh that guy looks good. And I mean, it's my competitiveness.
right.
So I still want to jump in and go with people and train. But then also, I'm a very active coach. I'll get involved with coaching. It's like holding pads. I take them down while I'm holding pads. Like I'm an
Got
active
you.
coach. So by default, you know, I'm staying some kind of shape.
You're involved, yeah, yeah. It sounds like
Yeah,
you're
I'm just
active, you're
involved.
involved, you're just like
I'm
there.
not like just sitting here. I have my own gym, but I'm just running a gym. I'm being a manager.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on my desk. No, like I say today, I've been coaching already this morning. I have coached today on tonight, so I'm always active.
No, that's good, man. And what's your thoughts on the fight this weekend? UFC Riyadh, Saudi. Who you got?
It's all chopped and changed, right? You know,
Yeah.
I can't remember who's fighting now. I know.
I think like Whitaker was meant to fight Hamzat, wasn't he? But that's
Yeah,
changed.
Chimaev is out now. He's
Yeah.
fighting so he's got an opponent, and there's been a few. I mean, it's chopped and changed quite a lot. So
Yeah.
I that's
Me
that's
too, man.
cool.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Every lot changes, I think, since
Has
maybe
my screen just gone
rotation.
off?
Now you're still on, but it's
Okay.
angles changed though. The angles
Yeah,
changed, I think.
my wife's calling me, so that's why I might just move the badge when if it's
So
gone
she
off.
could
It's not.
take over your whole technology, just
Yeah,
infiltrate
yeah.
like a virus. Yeah. No, no,
But now
I'm
I'm back.
just playing, man. Yeah, you got to keep the women happy, don't we, man?
Of
You know,
course.
you know what they
Happy
say.
wife, happy life.
Exactly. Some people say treat them mean, keep them keen, but I don't know about that one as well.
Nah,
It's a bit
nah,
of a balance, no?
no.
It don't
No,
work.
that's toxic relationship. We do that.
That's true, mate. But yeah, you know what? Any advice for any up and coming athletes, Brad? People entering the game.
Find yourself a good MMA gym and
Mm,
just start the journey. Even if it is no matter where you do, if you want to go fight in the UFC or you want to learn it as a recreational skill, it's good. It's just a good environment, good community as well. And like I said, very valuable life skill to learn. You know.
And then another question for you in terms of sparring. There's a lot of controversy and different opinions. Sparring hard, sparring light. Obviously, sparring has its place and time. When you're closer to a fight, you might pick it up, the intensity and stuff. What's your normal view on this in terms of your experience and how you should kind of spar with different partners? There's obviously various kind of factors to this question, but in general,
All right. So for me, sparring in general, right?
yeah.
For me, you should spar with all shapes and sizes. When I say shapes and sizes, still round about your weight class. There's no point me sparring some 6 foot middleweight because I'm never ever going to fight someone that body type in my life. For me, I always like to spar hard yet again, but safely. I wear headgear and stuff like that and protect yourself. But it's like going back to what I'm saying, it's the most realistic thing to a fight. So if I'm not defending myself properly and you don't don't punish me for it, I'm never going to learn. So if I'm dropping my hands all the time and I think I'm Ben Wicked, so yeah, look at this, and I'm doing all this, and a guy cracks me, boom, but he just does this. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not worried, but if I get paid for doing that, cool, shit, I need to get my hands up. So you have to spar hard, but sparring hard in my eyes is not a case of where it's just rock and sock and robots. You got to have intelligence sparring as well, right? If I hit you with a good shot because you've walked in, I'm not going to follow it up if you fall to the floor with some hammer fists. He's like sensible, But yeah, again, in my eyes, you still got to spar hard, what I hate and really dislike now is where some young guys go, "Oh, I'm only going to spar once a week." Why is that? I heard that Robbie Lawler only spars once a week. I'm like, he's fought so much, done so many rounds of sparring that you would never catch up on him in sparring rounds if you spar from now for the next 5 years, right? So, yeah, again, people who do that, I think it's like, I'm a bit
time under your belt.
You may call it old-fashioned, but for me, you got to prepare correctly for a fight.
So when you say, what's the definition of hard sparring for you then? What percentage of how much are you giving out of 100 for your guys? Let's say your guys are sparring tomorrow, the next day. Are they throwing 70%, 80? Is it above that?
It varies. It can be very hard to quantify. Some, it can vary from sometimes nearly going 100, then sometimes down to 70, sometimes to 60. It will vary depending on what situation you're in.
Yeah, definitely, man. And in terms of what's next for you, then, Brad, man, what's going on in your world in terms of MMA? You're wrapped up now, or you?
I'm just coaching, commentating, and stuff like that. Yeah, so I got people fighting all the time. I did have Simeon Powell supposed to be fighting on Saturday on Bellator, but his fight fell through. Then I was supposed to have Claire Lopez. I got loads. I mean, I used to do my boards just full. I'm always
stacked.
Always busy, yeah.
Active, man. But no, Brad, honestly, I just want to say thank you for your time. It's been amazing to chat with you, man. And, the GOAT of UK MMA, one of the GOATs alongside Dan Hardy, I'd say, and Mike Bisping, man. So top 3 for me. So
thank you.
It's been amazing. And hopefully we catch up soon. And thank you for your time once again.
Thanks for having me, my friend. Thank you.
No problem, man. God bless. Take care, Brad.
Take care, mate. Bye-bye.
Yeah, man. Bye-bye.